Welcome to our webinar, Money Talks, Starting Meaningful Financial Conversations with Your Student. We are excited to have all of you joining us today. My name is Morgan Chavez Brannon with Parent and Family Relations, and joining me today is Kathy Coman with Red to Black. Kathy is the director of Red to Black, Texas Tech's Financial Wellbeing and Literacy Program. As an adjunct professor, she teaches financial literacy at the TTU School of Financial Planning to all majors. She is a PhD candidate in personal financial planning. Her research interest is in college students' financial wellness, and her passion is in equipping students and families with knowledge that leads to prudent financial decisions. She earned her MBA in finance from the University of Central Missouri and her MA in human resource development from Webster University. She has 3 children and enjoys traveling and exploring the world with them. This webinar is part of our Red Raider Family Webinar Series, where we share information on topics of interest to parents, families, and supporters of our students. And we hope that this webinar will help you better navigate the financial discussions that you plan to have with your student. We plan to keep this webinar to about 30 minutes or so. If there is time at the end, we will open it up for Q&As using the Zoom Q&A feature. In the meantime, you are able to input any of your questions throughout the presentation. We have folks working in the background to help answer those. So feel free to use that all throughout. As a reminder, we are recording this session and we will be posting it to our website later today, so you'll be able to review it again later or share it with others. We will also email the recording link to the email you used to register for the webinar. So let's begin. I am going to turn it over to Kathy.
Well, good afternoon. We are excited to be part of this program. We are excited to talk to you about what conversations to start with your sons, your daughters as they attend college. We understand that college can be quite difficult and can be meaningful when it comes to the life skills that they must acquire when they're in campus, and also once they graduate, what are some of the financial skills that they really need to have to navigate through life successfully. So we'll get started with who we are at Texas Tech and the team, and so on and so forth. So Red to Black actually is a Texas Tech financial well-being and literacy program, and we do provide financial education to students and also you as parents on building your confidence in terms of the skills that you must have to navigate through finances successfully. We also understand that going through college can be very challenging, the different things that you must know as a parent, as also as that person who oversees your child's life. What are some of the questions you might have as a parent concerning money? And we are more than happy to come and work alongside with you to share more about the skills that you must have. How we do that is we do offer one-on-one coaching where the parent and the student can meet virtually or in person to be able to go through what are the issues or the finances questions that you might have. We also do have financial education workshops. We go into classrooms, resident halls, different student organizations, and we present to them based on what their pressing need is at that point in time. Last but not least, we may have met you during the Red Raiders orientation, and that's where we get to talk to you about the resource that we offer. Our end goal is to provide real-life financial literacy to your student and also to you to encourage you to have that one-on-one conversation about after college or within college, what questions might you have, provide clarity, and most of all, be able to move into their careers with knowledge of how to deal with their finances. Next slide, please. This is the team that is behind all that we do at Red to Black. We are excited that, and I must speak for myself, I'm excited to work with such a great team. Every day when we come to work, we look forward to, with a lot of passion, to be able to reach out to your student and help them in every way we possibly can, and meet them with a smile, knowing that there's someone who's interested in navigating them through their academic tenure into real life knowing what to expect in terms of their finances. So that's the team I get to work with every day. I'm proud to be part of them, and it's an awesome team. I hope you'll all get a chance to meet each one of them soon. So starting with conversations with your students, one of the things that is apparent is, as we all know as parents, college years might be very challenging, yet there might also be the years that a student would go through life and understanding ways to navigate their day-to-day lives, especially when it comes to money. So some of the conversations that I have as a parent and also with my students that I teach is college years are actually a preparation of two things in your life. The first one is for you to succeed academically, to be able to do what you need to do to be able to come out at the top. But also it's the school of life where you obtain the financial skills to be able to become not only successful in your career, but also be financially independent after you graduate. And one of the things I like to say and mention it both in class and even during coaching sessions is that the bill that is your parent or your guardian's bill today, in a couple of years, if it's a freshman, in 4 years, those will be your bills. If it's 1 year, that will be your bill. So reminding them that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in college, life will always be smooth, but try to learn how to navigate through your finances in college, make the few mistakes we all have made, but also build a skill that would enable you to do well once you graduate. The only way we get to do that is investing in financial knowledge. What you don't know, I tell many of our students, and I encourage you to do that too as parents, what they don't know, they don't know. And therefore, when they acquire the financial knowledge, practicing it actually fine-tunes how they navigate successfully when it comes to how they deal with their money in life. So it's more of what kind of conversation might you want to have with your with your students. So the conversation point number one is, next slide, please. The importance of accountability. Many students that I interact with, I ask them this question: so why are you attending college? And the answers that I get make me smile. Well, the answer, of course, that I get is because my parents wanted me to go to college. That is one thing. But as a parent, maybe the conversation that you may want to have with your student is, why do you desire to stay in college? What are your goals now as a student? Intermediate goal, which is now between the next 1 year to the next 4 years or less than that. And then after you graduate, what are your goals after you graduate? And how we do that is when they tell us why they are here, when we meet with them one-on-one, is we remind them the money that you have will not last you if you don't plan for it. So we highly encourage you to encourage your students to meet with one of our peer mentors, one of the financial coaches, to be able to come up with a spending plan, whether it's an allowance you're giving them or any kind of input you have towards meeting their expenses, that they ought to be accountable in what they spend that money in. When they're executing, one of the things that you can hold them accountable as parents is, the allowance I've given you is this much. At the end of every month, part of accountability is for them to balance their money. Did they have a surplus in terms of they have something remaining based on the allowance you gave them, or do they have a deficit? And the conversation would go around, now that you have a deficit, you went over the allowance that was provided to you, how do you intend to bring down the deficit? And also, how will you meet the current deficit? It's not for us to say that the allowances is cast on stone. All it means is, as a parent, we ought to hold our students accountable, and that accountability conversation helps them immensely build the habits that would be great for them. Conversation number two is financial habits that are healthy. Most of our students, the ones I teach, the ones that come through the Red to Black office, I like to ask them this question: how often do you check your banking apps when it comes to balancing your account. Majority of the students and the current generation have not really experienced the immersion of writing checks and balancing checks. So most of them depend on their banking apps to be able to see how much has come in, how much is going out. And the thing that I always remind us as a team to remind our students is different payments hit our banking accounts at different points in time. And therefore, if you're only checking it once, it means there's a payment that may have gone through that you did not expect. Why that is important is that according to the research that I've conducted and many others, is that how often as a parent and also as a student, how often we check our banking apps, then we are very much aware of how much is our account balance, how much is coming out of it. When we talk about accounts, we also really would like you to encourage your students to automate those things that should not be charged late fees. So automating the ones that are fixed costs as opposed to the things that are their wants. At this point, I usually ask the students to reach out and find out who pays for the subscriptions that they do have, because when we ask them that question, some of them say it is the parent that pays for it, who pays for the entertainment budget, and so on and so forth. The challenge that I would like to present to parents is, if a student is able to account on the money trail where their money goes to, whether it's cash or anything in their account, then that student will start being more aware of their spending and also be very much accountable to you in terms of the allowances that you provide and other bills that you pay for them. Our conversation number 3 is actually looking at the aspect of less is more. We know that preferences can increase when choices are many. When options are many, it is great, but what happens is that most of our minds become a little bit overwhelmed and we end up choosing things optimally we would not have chosen. So as a parent, what I would actually highly encourage you to do is narrow down the preferences and choices that you might have for your students, because when they have less, then they are able to determine what really they do need. And also when we talk of choices and priorities in terms of expenses, ask them to rank in order of priority. What are the high goals, like high priority goals, versus what are the ones that are low priority goals? What we've seen over time interacting with our students is they really major on the low goals and really minor on the high priority goals. We hope that you can start having those conversations about where they're spending their time, their money, because when it is narrowed down, then they are able to make optimal choices in terms of where they're spending time and money for that matter. Our money conversation number 4 is start talking to your student about the importance of time. One of the things that I remind most of our students, the ones I teach and the ones I interact with, is when you're in college, time is your friend. And the reason why it is your friend when you're having these conversations with them is they do have a longer savings and investing time horizon. If your student is 20 and they plan to retire hopefully at 60, 65, it means they do have 40 to 45 years to save and invest that money. The sooner your student learns the importance of time value of money, that the monies I don't spend today are worth more in the future, then they start looking for ways to spend less today and investing more in the future. One of the things that I would encourage us all as parents is allowing the students to understand the importance of having an emergency fund. We call it an emergency fund, but all of us know that's saving for a rainy day. Emergencies happen, and we've seen that it's possible that a student would actually fall back to you. But in real life, one of the things that we say in healthy financial habits is if the student is able to navigate those emergencies by preparing early for them. We call those contingent planning for things that you don't know they will happen, but in case they happen, you do have a nest egg to be able to meet those needs. Because what we've seen is without an emergency fund, it is very difficult for a student to be able to even get home or even get to a place where they would actually get help. One of the questions that a parent has asked is, what's the optimal amount to have? As a student, it's between 400 to 500. Optimal is what we say in financial planning. That would be able to fix a tire. It would be able to get the child home if they need to get home. And therefore, it's very crucial that they know it's important to set aside some money for saving. Our conversation point number 5 is we all loved to be rewarded. So we know that the more rewards are given towards a specific act, then that habit shall be reinforced. Find ways as a parent to reward any positive financial behavior. For example, if you allocate your student, a certain amount, let's say 500 is what you have said, this is what you will spend as your allowance for this month or for 6 weeks. And that student intentionally plans how they will spend that money. And a portion of that money, they actually go ahead and save it, or they can easily come back to you as a parent and say, this is what I apportioned to this expense, and take the time to rationalize with you in terms of why they did what they did with their money. It means they are thinking through their spending habits. And as a parent, we all know that when we reward those positive behaviors, then they will become more and more evident in our student. However, one of the things that we know is that financial habits is what inform healthy financial behaviors. So the more we reward those financial behaviors that are good, they check their apps, they are not always going above their allowances, they have a budget, which we are very happy as Red to Black to come alongside your student, which we highly really advocate that they come and see one of the financial coaches to be able to see where their money is going to. The more they do that when they are students, chances are even after they graduate, they'll be very, very cognizant of the fact that I don't make money to spend. I have to have a plan on what I want to spend my money on. Our money conversation number 6 is life and financial goals are best friends. As we all know as parents, and also this is something I encourage that is a practice that you may want to incorporate in a conversation with your student, is talk to your student about the things they value. As adults, we know the things that we value, we will place an amount of money towards that goal. Because the things we value eventually are the things that we shall value as a life goal. Our values inform our life goals, and our life goals must have a certain portion of our income that is a portion to take care of that particular life goal. The sooner we start having those conversations, it's very crucial, because sometimes college can become very difficult. They will tell you their long-term goal. They will tell you what they want to do after they graduate. And many times they will say, because I want a better income. The next question might be, when you get a better income, what do you want to do with that money? That becomes their life goals. And why that's important is that over the time, when academics become difficult, when they feel like I'm not really getting a grip of my life, you find that college becomes very difficult. And those are the times you go back with your student and have with them that conversation of, these are your lifetime goals. These are the things you desire to do. What we say is the importance of building imagination capital in your student when they are going through challenging times. When you motivate your student to look at the end goal, which is their life goal, versus what they are experiencing right now, you will find that they become more motivated. You will find that they will persist. And most of all, despite the demands that every semester challenges them with, they will stay on top of their academics, simply because those long-term goals will always inform them. They need to persist. They need to achieve that goal. So their tenacity and self-efficacy is highly increased. So when they forget and they start having conversation, I don't know about college, remind them that their lifetime goals are highly tied to what they're doing right now in their academics, and keep having those conversations, because when things are difficult and you bring them up, they will actually help your students very much. So next slide, please. So what are the next steps that I would encourage us to take as parents? I would highly encourage us to schedule an appointment with Red to Black. I would invite you to be part of those coaching sessions if your student would like you to be part of it. And one of the things that I love about what we do is when you're part of the process of supporting your student through understanding their goals, understanding where they ought to be, it really helps them succeed in other areas of their lives beyond just the academics. And one of the things that we like to meet about with students, and we've seen that quite a bit, is, what are the money basics, the tenets of finance, understanding the inflows, outflows of money, understanding the ways that they can appropriate the inflows and all that. That is what we go through both in education, which we present in most of the classes here at Texas Tech, but also we do have coaching sessions that touch on developing a spending plan, understanding how to navigate through it. We also have students who want to build their credit history, build their credit cards. We go through that both in education and also during a one-on-one coaching session. Some of the students are about to graduate. They want to know how to navigate and deal with debt. We are very happy to meet with them. The other thing that we do is most of our students may not understand their attitudes and their habits that they do have. And so we do have an interactive game that allows them to individually understand, these are my money habits, these are my money attitudes, and how best can we as Red to Black help them as you also work alongside with us to be able to hold them accountable towards changing their habits and attitudes towards a healthy financial behavior. Last but not least, we also have presentations about first day at work and how to navigate the different benefits that they might be offered, or the cost benefit analysis about, should I take a job in California? Should I take a job in Texas? And how might that look like based on my current expenses? We do all that before our students graduate, and also we partner closely with the Career Center to do the same. This is our QR code. We highly recommend that you reach out to your student and ask them to book an appointment with us. We also can discuss about, the different ways of funding college, give you education about ways you can navigate college, how to go about planning initially from one academic year to the next academic year. All that we desire is for you to encourage your student to visit with us so that we can set them up for success. And also, I would encourage you as a parent to be part of that journey as your student is immersing themselves towards understanding more about finances. Last but not least, the last slide, please. These are our contacts. We are Red to Black, and you can email us anytime. You can call us. You can go to our website and book an appointment with one of our peer financial coaches, and we'll be more than happy to be part of that conversation with your parent, with your student, and with you. You can also follow us on Instagram. We post a lot of nuggets and snippets of what we're doing here on campus, and also questions and ideas of what we can do to really navigate our academic tenure successfully. At this juncture, I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to share about who we are as Red to Black. And I would like to hand it over to Morgan and say thank you for the opportunity.
Well, thank you, Kathy, for being here with us. I was, it's funny enough, when I was in undergrad, actually, I think it was grad school. I actually remember working with somebody on the money habitudes, changed over time, and I've used it even in my own class now with my Rater Ready students. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember even like as I've progressed through my like that emerging adult experience into young adult into established adult, like revisiting that money habitudes has been very beneficial for me in my personal life. So I think that that is really cool that that's still something that Red to Black is doing. And obviously, as a person who works here on campus, being able to say like I still apply those, it has a lot of value for the long term. At this point, if anybody does have any questions, please feel free to use that Q&A feature to ask questions of Kathy and her team if you have anything specific. I know that there were a lot of questions that were submitted in advance that Kathy did address, so we again appreciate you addressing those for us. If there are no questions or you're like, I need to sit on this for a while, that's totally fine. We completely understand and support that. So if you have questions after we end this webinar today, you can always reach out either to our office, Parent and Family Relations. The email is right there, parent@ttu.edu, or reach out directly to Red to Black. They are a wealth of knowledge, as is evidenced by everything that Kathy just spoke about, and her team is absolutely phenomenal. So you can reach out to them at redtoblack@ttu.edu. We do ask that you take a few moments to take our quick survey. It's only a couple of questions long, and we just want to use this to help continue to inform the work we do and provide you with great information. I see there's a question that did pop up. Is it possible to print the slides shown in this program? Yes, we are going to make those slides available for download after we are done today. So later on this afternoon, you will be receiving an email with the recording link and a link to the location that you can download the slides. So be on the lookout for that later today. And also, I would like to highlight that I believe it's next week, we are going to have another webinar. In that one, we will be talking about the Rater Ready programs. So you might have a first-year student that is currently enrolled in Rater Ready. But where do they go from there? And there are additional resources and additional classes beyond the first year that they can take to help continue to build that foundation. So join us for that next week. You can register for that in the Red Rater Family Network. And once again, I really just want to say thank you so much to Kathy and her team for joining us today. And we look forward to continuing to work with our parents and family members and share this great information to help support your students. Have a fantastic day.